Hello everybody, and welcome to the first semi-intelligent upload for this channel. Yeah, the other videos aren't very good or even entertaining. Whoops, I just want to give my opinion on Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. This won't be a top 10 or anything, but I'm going to talk a little bit about my hopes, and yeah, I won't waste any more time. So before I begin with my opinion, I would like to tell you what I think about a few of the more popular speculations going around the interwebs. First off would have to be the idea for better online play and Wi-Fi. While this is a big part of what I'm looking forward to, it's more of an expectation than a hope for me. Because the 3DS has a lot better online than the DS, I expect improvements over the 5th gen system. I don't mean mini-games or social plaza, I mean better interactions that mean something when you go back to single player. Now for what are probably the two most requested things in X and Y. Ever since Infernape, people have been wondering why Game Freak has had 3 firefighting starters in a row, and I can see where they're coming from. Game Freak knows what they're doing though, and there's a reason for this. Stealth Rocks. In order to be viable in competitive play, fire types need neutrality to Stealth Rocks, so they need one of the following subtypes: ground, fighting, or steel. Nobody has a problem with Blaziken's typing because nobody knew that its typing would create a legacy and would be used again, not even Game Freak. By 4th gen, Stealth Rock has a TM, and it would have been foreseen to be common. Camrapt would have shown them that water is way too overpowered for fire ground to be an option, but I'll get to that in a minute. Heatran must have been created at that point, so they knew they only had one option for Infernape. In 5th gen, I can't understand why they would want another firefighting. I mean, Fire Steel was so popular, and I feel like that would have been their best option. There is hope for Fennekin though. In my opinion, it'll either be Fire Steel or Fire Ground, with my bet being on ground because of how the Phoenix Fox lives. This leads me to believe that they will change the type effectiveness chart, as Fire Ground hasn't been very good in the past. I don't really like the charts as they are now, as I think a few of the types are overpowered, and that some are really horrible. These aren't the only bad types, but I feel the ones that need the most work would have to be Ice, Poison, and Grass. Grass has 5 weaknesses and doesn't have very good coverage, but they're the only Pokemon besides Smeargle that can learn Spore and Leech Seed. With Poison, its only good move is Toxic, and it is almost universally available, and it only hits one type super effectively. As for Ice types, they might hit Dragons for super effective damage, but they have a weakness to Stealth Rock and only one resist: Ice. That is bad. Now, there are also a few types that I think needs to be nerfed to balance the system, which would be Water, Ghost, and Steel. Water is OP because it has 2 weaknesses, and only one when it's paired with Ground. This might be considered a good thing because it gives Grass a reason to exist, though. Also, there are 2 Water-type HM moves that are good enough to make move pools not too much of an issue, whether it's physically or specially based. As for Ghost, it has 2 immunities, and a few of the most common ghosts, such as Gengar, have Levitate as well. They also have very good coverage, no weaknesses when paired with Dark, and so it really needs to be balanced. Finally, there would have to be Steel. It's immune to Poison, which is including Toxic, and while its coverage isn't great, its resistance is more than make up for it. Now, up to this point, I've been avoiding speculation about a new type. The most popular rumor is about Light type to serve as a parallel to Dark. I guess I'm just a Gen 1er, but I feel like the old types could work just fine, and I'm on the fence about a new type. What would I suggest to parallel Dark type then? I would have to say Normal type, as it's already immune to Ghost, and it seems to be the most innocent of the types. Just having them hit each other super effectively would be enough to satisfy most people, and I don't feel Game Freak needs to go further than this. One thing that the magical Dookie Shed mentioned is a competitive overhaul. I can agree to an extent, but I don't feel like EVs need to be removed, as it takes only an hour to EV train and only 4 or 5 hours to get the power items in the battle tower. IVs, on the other hand, are broken because it can take weeks to get the ones you want, and it doesn't make your Pokemon any different from the others. Another thing about IVs is that they dictate Hidden Power, which is an attack that's completely broken. Having one attack that rounds out your coverage, regardless of the rest of the Pokemon's move pool, is just bad. Removing IVs wouldn't be detrimental in any way. This would make entry into competitive battling a lot simpler and easier. Nature should be kept intact because a 1 in 25 chance to get what you want isn't too difficult to get. They also give players something to customize the Pokemon with, so I'd argue that the only stat modifier that needs to be done away with are IVs. Now on to my opinions. Something that I've noticed with the growing number of Pokemon is that Game Freak has hit a plateau in terms of how many sweepers or walls are viable within each tier. So far they've given us one possible solution in Black and White, which is to bump up how powerful each Mon was, which hasn't worked too well. The thing I would like for them to try now is to add a Pokemon type. To give an example, Pokemon solely designed to counter certain types of Pokemon would be welcome addition. I know we have Magnezone, but I would like to point out that we could have it for other types as well. My example would be a hypothetical dark normal type that would be immune to ghost and psychic while needing to watch out for fighting. This would make for more situational uses, as they could either make a team or be nearly useless. Next, I would like to see the Pokemon themselves get up in quality after seeing what Gen 5 did. Before you go and agree with me, I just want to point out that I don't mean Stunfisk, Vanillite, or Garbodor. I mean Pokemon like Mienfoo, Golett, and Dino. Those three are nearly impossible to use during the campaign because they evolve so late. I mean, I understand why meta legendaries should evolve at around level 50 or 55, but for a Pokemon like Mienfoo, that's just ridiculous. Also, in the case of Dino, he evolves into Hydreigon at level 63, and you catch it right before the Elite Four at 40. This is a bit better in Black and White too, but not by much. Finally, the biggest thing I want to see done in X and Y is for the focus to go away from the graphics. While they worked well in the trailer, I don't play Pokemon for the visuals. This is similar to what happened in Black and White when they focused on the story. While it was good, it left other parts of the game raw, and I don't feel like those were resources that were well spent. As for something that would be resources well spent, adding a hard mode would be a welcome, if not necessary, addition. Black and White 2 had it, but it was broken beyond recognition. I mean, beating the game before being able to play challenge mode is just bad, and even then, doing an hour or two of grinding just makes it like the other modes. Before I go, I want to express my opinion about the news that was leaked on the 14th. I love Pam Chan's design, but I don't really care for the other ones. Go-Goat seems like its only purpose is to show off the riding mechanics, Fletchling is kind of bland, and Helioptile is cool, but not mind-blowing. As for the other, most important things, character customization was shown, and is kind of good. A step in the right direction, but a lot of people have been complaining that it isn't enough. I'm fine with it because the new models are probably the best ones since Fire Red and Leaf Green. This limited customization is still a good thing, and the Z version, or whatever the third version is, comes along, it'll bring more customization. Overall, I have faith in Game Freak, and whatever X and Y ends up being, I will still play it at least once.